What is up, my little boo-boo patooties? We are here for our anchor message for the week and the alchemy message tonight. So we're condensing those and kind of getting caught up for the week thus far. I think it will all be pretty streamlined. And then we'll be caught up, and then hopefully we'll be kind of back on our normal schedule starting tomorrow. I think I am going to try to continue filming during the day when I can, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I've been sort of up in the air for the last few weeks, so I'm going to try to get a good routine down again. Lots of planetary shifts going on that may be affecting you in the same way as well. There's so much astrologically that's been happening. I just noticed I have like some pin on me from work. So yeah, a lot of like chaotic noise is in the air. I think that there are a lot, like emotions are running high. People are erratic and reactive right now. And so the calmer and more centered and more constant that you can be this week, it will definitely help you and over the next couple of weeks. So we had our new moon in Cancer on Monday. And on that same day, the nodes of the moon shifted. The North Node and the South Node shifted from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries and Libra. And so this is like a major shift where our attention and our intentions are. What's got our inner, kind of like pull, what's tugging us is shifting and changing. So when the North Node has been in Taurus over the last year and a half, the North Node is leading us to where we're going. It's where we're destined to go. It's the direction we're moving in this life. The South Node is the direction we're moving away from. The South Node is the areas that are our comfort zones from past lives. There's, experience that we're bringing with us, but the past, if we keep hanging on to the South Node, then it becomes a problem. It becomes turbulence. It becomes chaos until we are finally catalyzed into a change. So, North Node, South Node. South Node evolving from transcending, moving forward with these gifts and experiences into North Node territory. So the last year and a half, the North Node has been in Taurus, really getting us to take a look at what it is we really value and what has been pushed on us by others to value. What's really in alignment with our own authenticity at this point in our lives with the experience that we have. And, what are we not valuing that we can let go of? How is our life not in aligned with those things that we value? And how do we shift that to get it going in the direction of what we truly value, what lights us up, what we feel called to, what we feel purpose, in. And so that last year and a half, there's been a lot of transformation in changing our lives to reflect those values and what kind of life we want to live going forward, and what we value within our lives. And so Scorpio, the South Node, that has been that transformative energy over the last year and a half, which has been tumultuous and chaotic and disruptive and, did I say turbulent? Like, it's just been unsettling, and it's caused sudden change and long drawn out painful changes and all kinds of things that we've been adjusting to in order to clear the ground for this new grand new beginning, this like timeline jump for this year, this next half of our life going forward. So all of that has been fairly jolting over the last year and a half. And now the moon's nodes are shifting again once more. And so the North Node is going into Aries and the South Node will be in Libra. And so now that we know what we value and what's not really, what doesn't align, what we don't jive with, but what we do vibrate with, it's like now our attention is shifting like, okay, now that we've got that down, And now that we've cleared the grounds and made way to start building something that reflects that, build a life that reflects that, now it's like, well, who are we now? What are we made of? Who are we? Who are we? And how are we showing up in the world? How do we express? Like, how are we giving? And how are we contributing? And how are we doing life? You know, how are we going after what we want? How are we creating the life that we want to live? And who do we have to be in order to be living in that life? Well, the South Node in Libra is taking us away from, Libra's all about the way that we interact in our relationships. So the previous way that we were interacting in our relationships one way. And now that we're this new person, it's like we're changing the way that we show up and who we are and our self-identity. And part of that is we're realizing and we're catching ourselves in our default settings and our old patterns, and we're shifting that, and we're showing up differently now within our relationships to others. So it's like, how are we showing up now in order to have different interrelational dynamics with people? How do we show up now to have different results from our relationships? We're dealing with people differently. We're showing up for people differently. We're showing up for ourselves differently, right? We're relating to people differently. And this is not just people, this is life in general. This is how we relate to that which is other than us. Our work, our community, our perspective of the general like stuff that's happening out here in like context to how it, you know, is in context to us. It's like, how do we perceive the world and how it's unfolding? Is it happening to us? Is it happening at us? Is it happening for us? So all of that is shifting. So our perspective is changing, how we're relating to life is changing, how we relate to opportunity, how we relate to work, how we think about these things and how we feel about these things and how we act toward and take action and, you know, interact with. So all of that is shifting. And it's been part of this whole, like, I don't know, every few weeks, it's like we're being initiated on this different level in these different ways. And we're being tested and run through, you know, similar circumstances again to see if we can handle it differently. And so, which brings us to this week. The new moon in Cancer is a cardinal sign that is planting seeds for huge new beginnings for ourselves. A big new start in who we are and how we show up, right? And as we're building and going forward. And so there's been a lot of healing recently, a lot of pattern recognition, and a lot of challenges and tests and gauntlet traversing and revelation. And it's been heavy and it's been intense, and some of it's been fun and light and cheery, and some of it's been deep, and some of it's been jolting and startling and has caught us off guard, but it's all been a lot. And, you know, now it's like we're taking a breath, and, you know, it's, you know, we've been getting these messages the last couple of weeks about breathing, right? Breathing in, breathing out. Shabbat was a theme that came up in our new moon workshop, which the new moon is the next 2 weeks, but the new moon also affects the rest of the month. It's the seed level energy of the month. And part of Shabbat is rest. And so think about that. What are you being fanatical about? What are you holding on to, white-knuckled grip, trying to control it, trying to force some success, trying to force a victory or an outcome? Whatever that is, it's like, give it a rest. Retreat. Let there be space. Let it breathe. So that is overall energy to start. So for our anchor message for Monday, which is the archetypal lessons that this week is going to be flavored by, we got the Queen, followed by the Thread, followed by the Mother, and followed by Shadow. So the Queen card talks about having like a sense of sovereignty in the self, knowing the self, being understanding and nurturing, and being mature on that level of intuition and having like emotional resources. The Queen, when she's in her positive form, when she's in her lightest form, is going to be benevolent and lead through inspiration and be generous and have grace and compassion and mercy and understanding. But when the Queen is in her shadow side, she can be controlling, domineering, overly critical. So watch that this week come up. There were, let's see, Strength was under Queen. And so this tells me that the triggers that have been coming up this week have been really like hitting us in that inner child. And so it takes all the healing that we've done so far to be able to pass these tests and these triggering tests that are testing our ability to either show up in reaction mode where our inner child is triggered and we act out and we're the Dark Queen and we're controlling and we're, critical, or we're domineering, or, manipulative or passive aggressive, that kind of queen that just wants to get her way, or, wants to be, doesn't want to share in an equal give and take. So that could be that inner child being triggered and then acting out. But what we want is to try to practice strength and gentle strength, and be generous and caring when it comes to others, and be patient and understanding, because everyone is affected by all of this astrological weather going on right now, all of these changes in the planets. I think Venus is just going into retrograde too. There's a lot of planets that are about to go into retrograde, a lot of things shifting, a lot of things squaring and opposition. And so it's a lot of fiery signs and other signs that magnify them. And we talk more about it in the new moon workshop. So you should go and watch it. The astrological breakdown highlights are in the first half. The reading is in the second half. But there's just so much going on, and other people, the muggles, don't know. They have no idea. They're just in reactive mode. And so all of the readers and the astrologers that have been watching have been suggesting not to do anything too rash or crazy in the first couple of days of this new moon energy. That there's so much shifting and going on, and that the Cancer influence of the moon is making everything so much more sensitive and making our feelings so much more tender, and all the emotions are heightened, that, people are going to be prone to taking like a drastic action or acting rashly without thinking, and they may regret it in a couple of days. So just be grounded. Be in your own sovereign energy. Don't give your power away to others. You don't need others to validate you. You don't need others' opinions. You have your own self and your creator to answer to. And other people are going to have their opinions in this life, but you've got to ultimately stay grounded. And I say that because these series of cards together have the Shadow, and they also have Mother as the character coming up. There's also the Thread. So the Thread was our next card, and it talks about like a deep calling or a deep pulling, like something with purpose and destiny involved. It's like you're being pulled by that thread in that certain direction. It's almost like your divine path, or like a divine thread that's woven through your life that leads you and guides you. And so In this particular instance, the Page of Pentacles came up underneath the thread. And so it feels to me like something is tugging at us that is a huge learning situation. But it can also be tied in with our mother wound and our shadow as a result of the mother wound. So there's a concept in Hebrew Kabbalah called tikkun. And that is very similar to karma. Tikkun is like our soul before this life has lived other lives. And at before every life, it's like we agree that there are certain people that we're going to have relationships with. And there are certain people that we are going to have that we're going to be friends with and enemies with, and people who are going to hurt us and people who are going to help us, and experiences that we are going to have that will shape us for good or for bad. We plan out all the negative things, all the positive things, everything that is huge and pivotal, that are those big outline plot points in life. We choose where we live. And what kinds of talents and weaknesses we have, illnesses, different abilities or restrictions in those abilities. And so we choose all these things, not because they're going to be ideal and the most desirable, but because they will be the ideal conditions for the unfoldment and the evolving of our soul. And so some of that will be challenging and painful, and some of it will be inspiring and healing and nurturing. And so part of tikkun is that you choose your parents and they choose you. And all the problems that you have with your parents and all the things, all the ways that you are problems for them and all the ways that they're problems for you, you all chose those things on purpose. And so one of the workshops in Kabbalah that's really helpful is to write down 3 to 5 deep reasons that are difficult reasons why you chose your mother, and 3 to 5 difficult reasons why she chose you. Same for your father. And so in this life, there is, tikkun, mother healing. And these are basically our soul contract assignments that we have to work out with our parents. And so I really believe that this whole reading for Monday, the archetypal message, was that the things that are coming up this week are huge for tikkun, mother healing, and a lot of stuff from the subconscious that was implanted as a result of mother wounds. And I mean, it's not to say that your mother had ill intentions towards you or even that she was mean or cruel. It's just that there are so many things that we are like soaking in when we're young and when we're like little bitty kids, and we're drawing all kinds of conclusions with undeveloped minds and no perspective. And so when things are scary or frightening or make us anxious or nervous, or we feel strongly about things as little kids, our subconscious and our ego starts writing like programs to keep us safe, to keep us in the tribe, protected, held, loved. We've witnessed dynamics going on between our mother and our father, or our mother and our other mother, or however your family looks. Maybe you had a single mother, maybe you didn't have a mother present, maybe you had a grandmother, but your mother or lack thereof has left impressions on you in your subconscious. Even people who had the ideal mother, they still have mother stuff, because even the perfect mother, like there's just no way to get out of it. Like, we're all assigned a certain amount of density that comes with the relationships that we have. It's like the tax. It's like the alchemy tax. This is the density that we are assigned to transmute, right, in this life, to love, to light, to goodness. And so mother healing could come up this week. But the triggers, what's going to come up are the triggers that are going to show you the unhealed parts of that inner child and the shadow self that's still being pushed away, the parts of the shadow that still need to be re-embraced and reintegrated, there can be some upsetting ways that this comes up this week. The Page of Wands is here. And so the Page of Pentacles it's like, this is a gentle student. This is someone who maybe holds themselves back because they think that they're not ready yet, or they need more work. And so it's like there's something about maybe that shadow work that is pointing out where you're holding yourself back from your purpose because you think that you're not good enough, or that you think that your fear of inadequacy. I know that I've tracked down, my core wounds, and on a subconscious level, I've drawn a conclusion at some point, I think, or probably as early as my birth, that like I fear that I am inadequate, and therefore blah, blah, blah. And so you can kind of search back to the root belief that kind of stems off all of your other beliefs, and it comes from like a core wound. And so, yeah, things can be, you might get unpleasant communication this week, or maybe, you have something unpleasant, that in an unpleasant exchange with your mother, or maybe someone else, but it probably ties to this wound and this programming. And it's not to say that your mother told you that you weren't good enough. I mean, it's possible that for some people that they might have, but it's just these things that our very young, impressionable minds come up with, and they're placed in the subconscious. And until we're made aware of them, we don't realize that those are the little things that are hiding, the foxes that spoil the vine. Those are the things that are hiding, that are driving our motivations, that are driving our reactions, that are causing us to have like these default settings where we always kind of assume these roles, or this behavior, or these habits or patterns or reflexes or responses, defense mechanisms. So as they come up this week, they can come up to be let go of, to be healed, but it might not be very pleasant. The Page of Wands is someone who's young and fiery, and enthusiastic and energetic, but in some situations, this can be kind of an upsetting, like it can be like a disturbing message, or something that ruffles your feathers, something triggering. But we had the Eight of Pentacles underneath Mother. And so I think that the mother wound and that cocoon healing that we're doing around that's the thing that we've been working on. The Eight of Pentacles is the apprentice. It's this long-term project or education. And so that's why I think it's the cocoon mother healing. It's like this lifelong assignment, that we've been working on, and it's tied directly to our transformation. And so right now, we've been going through such transformative times that, as this mother energy and this mother, and even like the mother archetype, that there's a dark side for the mother that struggles with the loss of her freedom, right? The loss of, the sacrifice of self. So, this can even have to do with your issues regarding motherhood as it pertains to you even. And it extends to your mother, right? When you understand, things from a different perspective, it helps you have more compassion for others as well. So yeah, everything that you are learning right now and learning from your subconscious patterns, this is what it's all about. This is where the work is. And this is where the transformation is going to happen. So just pay attention to those things. And then finally, once more, Page of Wands was under shadow. And so whatever is happening this week, you're probably going to be poked in your shadow a lot. And that will give you a good opportunity to see what parts of yourself that you feel that you've been shamed for, that you feel will be the things that will cause you to be rejected. Those are the things that are going to come up to show you so that you can love those parts of yourself this week. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tender because I've had a pretty intense week so far too. So if you've had, I don't know, anything that has made you emotional or hurt your feelings, I'm certainly with you. And hopefully this discussion will help us all be strong together and be patient with other people. And, you know, the thing about the Queen and these cards is that when we are triggered, we're all triggered. And we all can show up and act out and act nasty and act ugly and, you know, be defensive and be cold. That would be easy to do. What's harder to do is to decide really how you want to conduct yourself and who it is that you want to be now. And how is it that you want to conduct yourself? Is it worth letting your shadow act out? Stay in your sovereignty. Own your own power. It's hard when you feel that people are shaming you or rejecting you. But when you love and accept yourself and you're not looking for validation or permission, then people will say what they want and they will come and go, but you'll still be fine. You'll heal, you'll find your way through it, but you know that at your core, source, the light, that's what's behind every vessel. It's not the vessel. It's not the vessel that gave you the fulfillment. It was source. It's not the vessel that gives you permission. It's source. It's not the vessel that provides for you. It's source. It's not the vessel that gives you validation or fulfillment. It's source. The vessels will come and go. They will change. Everything is temporary in this life. But one thing that's not temporary is the light beneath the vessel. And that light dwells within us. And our spirit is made of that light. And our spirit is always whole and complete. And it's never changing. And it's never wounded. And it never has to heal. But that's the part of us that shines through and bleeds through as this soothing balm that nurtures the parts of our soul that are wounded, that need help, that need healing, that need correction. So to bring us up to the middle of the week for our alchemy lesson. So if the assignments for the week are our anchor message, on Wednesdays we go deeper with the Wild Unknown alchemy cards, and this is into the process. And so from the Wild Unknown alchemy, we got the Sun's Splendor, which I was really excited and surprised to see this card, but it was really beautiful. We got Pneuma, or breath, which I believe we had last week, which is again continuing on that theme of letting there be air, letting there be space, letting things breathe, right? Breath is taken in, but it's also released. And we need both. We need work and we need Shabbat. So there's something about, you know, trying to control or push, or I don't know, be fanatical about a situation that it just needs us to relax and breathe. Because the universe, from an energetic perspective, when there is that neurosis around making something happen, it causes a polarity and it causes something to repel. Because from a universal perspective, you're no longer in resonance with it because you are feeling like you're going to, you have to control it. So it's not natural. So your mindset is that I'm not that already, or it's your assumption is that you're not in resonance. And so your neuroses about it throws you off. That's why surrender and trust and certainty beyond logic is so powerful, because you're relaxed. And when you're relaxed and you're trusting, your vibration eases and you can fall into that cosmic flow and be led and guided and align with blessing and ease and abundance. But when we're fearful and we're controlling and we're pushing, trying to make it happen, it's like we're locked up. When we're pushing, we're in masculine mode. We're in giving. And you cannot receive from a place of giving. You can't receive in the masculine. You have to be in the feminine to receive. You have to be in a passive state with openness. So we can't always be making it happen. And then our third alchemy card was smoke or fumus. Underneath the sun splendor, we got the Fool. Underneath breath, we got Knight of Swords. Underneath smoke, we got the feminine King of Cups. And for our kind of result, or our last card to bookend it, we've got the feminine King of Pentacles. So the sun splendor talks about like true vitality and joy and life force and long-term value and beauty and potential. These gems, right? They've been created under pressure over long periods of time of heat, fire. But they will endure, right? Diamonds are so strong. They continue to endure. They're hard to break. They can cut because they're so much harder than anything else. They can cut through things. And so the Sun Splendor card is about how the sun is just always radiating, and it's never it's just always giving out that radiant joy and that life force and that generosity of the light. It's always reflecting the light. And so this is like a generosity of spirit almost, and agape love that doesn't ask for anything in return. So this card talks about like looking at the big picture, looking at the long-term value rather than short-term instant gratification. You know, short-term fulfillment may have to be sacrificed right now for long-term fulfillment. And something might have to be done that takes you being that sovereign queen, that benevolent queen, instead of being controlling. This card asks us to give without asking in return, to be generous, to be merciful. The Hebrew definition of justice and mercy is like that giving energy from God, that the sustenance that's provided. There's enough to go around. There's enough for everyone. Having yours doesn't take from me, you know? So this card asks us to be generous of spirit, to err on the side of goodness and to err on the side of love. Practice healthy boundaries, right? Love could be saying no. But it could also be not holding a grudge, not taking something personally, being understanding towards someone else, because of all this volatile energy. Like, people are fearful right now, and they're being triggered, and they're sensitive. Their feelings are easily hurt. Their emotions are coming up. Their wounds are coming up too. So if people are like, be understanding of other people's needs. Be understanding of other people's wounded inner child. You know, at any given time, you know, really we're going through this life, and everyone is just basically this like ego that is on a hair trigger of like this wounded, frightened child within that's really the one that's reacting at any given time and place. And so, yeah, it'd behoove us to be kind. The Fool coming up underneath this. The Fool, you know, it talks about she's like this adventurer on a new path, but the path is like, it's disguised as this crocodile. And this fool, this adventurer, you know, this Eileen Conley, you know, talks about the fool being, you know, us when we're born again. And it's like we have to be rebirthed with the trust of an infant with God, unjaded of all the fears that we have in our past. The fool only carries a small knapsack. And the fool knows that there's risk involved, but is still willing to take the risk, because that's the only way that we can get anywhere in life, is to take a risk. And so, yeah, the Fool is about being innocent and unjaded and trusting in that God will be in control and always is, and will take care of you and will guide you on your path. And that which is for you will be for you and will not pass you by. And that which is not for you will never be right. And so, yeah, when things come up this week, triggers come up, err on the side of the Fool, of believing the best about people, of not taking things personally, of wearing life as a loose garment, and being open to being surprised, being open to what life may have in store, and being willing to take a risk. And it takes so much courage and so much strength to open up and be vulnerable, especially when you're looking right in the belly, the face of the beast that's waiting for you. You know, especially when you know you're going to slay a dragon that you probably won't win. You know, it's difficult. But what do we have if we don't risk, you know, that pain of disappointment? We hide out and we don't get anything. We don't experience joy or love without risk of disappointment and pain. And, you know, sometimes we get the joy, and sometimes we get the joy, but the pain comes too. But the suffering, that's a choice. And that comes from our mindset and our willingness to let go or hang on, and our willingness to face something realistically or with truth, and be able to show up authentically and to speak our truth with courage, and accept that the chips are going to fall where they may. And so, breath, the sacred breath, it's about breathing. It's about simplicity. It's about turning in and going into that meditation where you sit with yourself. And, but also like that's a good, good prescription as medicine, is to sit with breath and just focus on the breath and empty the self, and let the thoughts pass through, and let the feelings pass through, and try not to obsess over getting locked up in the story, right? When we're triggered, we start telling these stories, and we start telling the old stories, and we get caught up in these dramas and these stories, and we don't have to. It's like we can see these thoughts coming, and we can feel that we're triggered. But we can choose to observe the thoughts without getting caught up in the story, and let those thoughts point to where what the subconscious shaming, or what the subconscious wounds or limiting beliefs or patterns, what they're saying so loud. So it'll help turn up the volume on that. But the breath, I think this is about letting something breathe, giving it space, you know, picking it up and putting it down again. It's a rhythm. And I keep thinking about the Shabbat card coming up. It's like, give it a rest. Give it, it's all about rhythm. When I get too neurotic about this channel, it doesn't, I don't know, it starts to do worse. And sometimes if I just don't overthink it as much, or give myself a break or whatever, then it's like, oh, it does a little better. So yeah, I mean, don't be too fanatical about anything. However, the Knight of Swords, this is both air. This is in our thoughts. So let your mind air out. Let your mind get clear. So many things are going on right now that are triggering our emotions, that it's best to let our mind settle and our hearts settle and get our thoughts straight, right? This may be a great week to hermit down a little bit. The Knight of Swords, in this particular deck, this describes the knight as someone who has the courage of her convictions, that isn't afraid to communicate her truth in an honorable way. So it's about I think it's about being able to be honest and authentic and speak your truth and be true to you, while also giving others space, giving the situation space. Like maybe you have something going on at work that you're really passionate about, and that it's been going on for a long time, and maybe it's just you need to relax about it a little bit, let it breathe, be honest, communicate, but in a positive way, communicate with the courage of your convictions, but ultimately just kind of let it go, let it breathe. If it's a relationship, be authentic, but don't control, don't be too, give space, right? And then we have smoke over the King of Cups. This card talks about how smoke is it's kind of a warning, right? If you're off in your laboratory being the alchemist and you smell smoke, what does that mean? Does it let you know that something's on fire in the lab? Does it mean that it's something that you're simmering, that's putting up spices in the air? Or are you, smoldering resin or burning incense? What kind of smoke is up in the air? Because it grabs someone's attention. And it's either going to lure them in, or it's going to be threatening. And so there's something about this that it's telling me that the triggers are causing the smoke to be up in the air this week. And so because we know that the smoke is going to be there, we want to sit in it, and we want to stay in our lab, and we want to work through it. And that's why we're the feminine King of Cups, because the feminine kings in this deck have transcended the highest, and they're in the highest level of self-mastery in their element. The feminine King of Cups is the ruling over the realm of emotions. And so she has mastered the ability to be nurturing and caring and intuitive and understanding, but also strong and devoted, and have some restraint and self-control, and that her emotions don't control her, but she's solid in them and is comfortable there. It's the feminine king is so sturdy, and the changing, choppy seas and storms and winds, while, the birds around her are frenetic, anxious energy, people kind of panic, mode. Everybody's talking. This is kind of the anxiety around. The ships are trying to get through these circumstances, these straining, stressful circumstances. And she's sturdy and she's steady, so she can hold the ship. She can provide safe passage, or a place for them to anchor and ride out the storm for a moment, while the waters calm down. So She is grounded. She is solid. So this is like us being emotionally sober enough to withstand and weather a storm. When the circumstances around us have everyone else frightened or shook or their feathers ruffled, this is the person that stays grounded and stays certain and consistent. Because we've learned that the more solid and consistent your energy is, then that's going to make you the more influential vibration around you. And so it's like people might panic right now. They might feel a lot, like the burning and the flames. I think passion had come up as a theme this week somewhere. And it's like there could be this sense that all of this heightened emotion can be freaking people out, and they can be reacting to it in panicked ways. And so we want to be solid and sturdy and not panic and, ride out the storm. And the King of Pentacles, it's the feminine King of Pentacles. So this is telling me that like we have the capacity to get through whatever is happening right now. The King of Pentacles, the feminine king, has been able to create and sustain a nurturing, healthy, thriving environment in life for him or herself. It doesn't matter about the gender. This is about being able to take care of the self, yourself, loving yourself, and having those good, solid, like getting your life together, having those good routines. Having your situation so sturdy and stable that it's like you can set yourself up to be independent and do what you want to some degree. You have the wherewithal, you have the resources to deal with your situation right now. And to handle this situation. You have the emotional capacity, and you have the resources and the capabilities and the physical talents. It's like you have what it takes on the inside to get through this emotionally and the resilience, but you also have the physical capabilities to pull off what you want. You have the physical resources. You have people that can help you. You have this environment. You have built your kingdom or set it up some type of way to have the structure to build upon now. So whatever's happening, I think that we're going to be fine. We're going to be golden even. It's just that we've got to stand strong in our certainty and in our sovereignty, and don't panic, and put the focus on, yourself and getting your own situation solid. The more you get in tune with your higher self, with your highest vibration, with your joyous state of gratitude and appreciation, other things in your situation will start falling into place too. So yeah, this is maybe a tough moment of a bit of turbulence, emotional. We're considering so much right now. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel like this new person, and I'm starting to show up differently, and now I'm interacting with people differently, and all of these things are shifting at once, and I'm kind of panicking, and I'm trying to find my place in the context of all this again. And so, yeah, other people don't realize all this is happening. They're just feeling confused, and they're just feeling a lot, and they don't know why, So be generous of spirit. Be patient with people. Assume the best about people, and don't take anything personally right now. And, maybe in a couple of weeks, the energy will be different. But for now, just let go of it all. Focus on yourself. Focus on your goals and your spiritual growth and your personal health and well-being, and getting your kingdom in order and doing all the things that you've been meaning to do, and getting that physical kingdom tight. And yeah, get lost in the joy of the process, and you'll look up in a few days or maybe, in a week or so, and the energy will have shifted, I'm sure. So, all right, y'all, I hope you will be good, but not too good. Ciao.